Quote, with the rioting that is occurring in many of our cities around the country, the voices of peaceful and legitimate protests have been hijacked by violent radical elements. Groups of outside radicals and agitators are exploiting the situation to pursue their own separate, violent, and extremist agenda. Chief, as you know better than I, it's important to separate out the constitutional right to peacefully protest, to go out and express concerns. In fact, and pardon me 1 second, you see there's a police car in another city in Philadelphia. We've been talking about this, now under attack by some folks on the ground. We're going to keep an eye on that as we talk to you, Chief. Chief Andreu, how do you deal with this? When you're arresting people, do you start figuring out where their ideas? Is it as simple as that, and figuring out, okay, are people being bussed in? How do you deal with situations like that?
Well, they're the ones that are causing the problem. There's no doubt in my mind. And I was happy to hear today that President Trump is thinking of calling Antifa a terrorist organization, because that's exactly what they are. Another thing that I need to clear up is I retired as chief in February, so I'm at home, haven't had a haircut in a few months. So, but we need to clear the difference and delineate between the people that are there trying to protest peacefully, as they are allowed to do and as they should be doing, to separate them from these people that are coming in to instigate. I saw some interviews yesterday in the local media here of some of the people that there's no doubt that that's what they're there to do. They're there to increase the chaos in Miami and in all the cities where we're seeing this.
Chief, well, you have to pardon me if I'm still calling you Chief, because you'll always be Chief in my book, whether you're retired or not. We're using your insight. I want you to help me talk over these live pictures. We're now looking, it appears that someone perhaps has taken over that police cruiser that you saw in the middle of your screen. I want to be careful at exactly how it plays out as we're getting this in real time, but it appeared that someone hijacked a police vehicle, rammed it into another one. You can obviously see with your own eyes there are now other protesters, clearly not peaceful, clearly violent protesters, now going inside another police vehicle and trying to take whatever they can out of it. You can see a window appears to have been smashed out of the back. Chief, you perhaps you've dealt with a situation like this before. As we watch this play out live right here on the Fox News channel, how do you deal with something that started peaceful, and in fact you're seeing one of the protesters just put a police cap on his head, and they're essentially mocking law enforcement, they're attacking the vehicles, they're destroying property. What needs to be done here?
The police have to maintain control. When I saw that that police department was actually surrendered to the angry mob, that's something that they can't allow. And the Miami Police Department and the Miami-Dade Police Department did a good job yesterday on protecting the police building in downtown Miami, and that's something that you can't allow that to do. I also saw reports today where some AR-15 rifles were taken from police vehicles, and that's something that's very dangerous and that cannot be allowed. Mayor de Blasio in New York said that what he saw with police cars was bad as well.
All right, and Chief, and pardon me, in the rear part, you see in the front there, now there's a violent protester jumping and smashing on the windshield of a police vehicle. Second one's now on the hood. About 2 police vehicles back, they were just pouring something on the engine. And again, I don't want to speculate what they were pouring, but there was a hood that was up, and we'll see if the live picture, there you go. And they were pouring something on the hood. We don't know whether or not they're going to try to start a fire there. But Chief Andreu, we certainly want to thank you for your insight. We're going to have a brand new hour here. In the meantime, we so hope to have you back in the days ahead. Thank you for talking us through that. In the meantime, we want to restart here as we watch these live pictures in Philadelphia, a brand new hour.
All right, thank you, Ed. I'm Sandra Smith. This is the top of a new hour. It is Sunday afternoon, and you are seeing a live look in Philadelphia days after we saw protests ignite over the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Now you have seen protests, some peaceful, some turning violent across the nation. Obviously, we are witnessing violence on the streets of Philadelphia right now. Moments ago, Ed just witnessed, as he was talking to his guest, the taking over of a police squad car. It was empty. It was then run down the street by some of those protesters there and slammed into another police vehicle. You can see people on the ground there are taking over these squad cars live on our screens here. Obviously, we'll be careful with any further images that coming. This police car is now on fire. You can see the flames coming up as we speak. Yesterday afternoon, 13 police officers in that city were injured. They are struggling to control the crowds and the rioting there. There is vandalism. There is the taking over of property happening. And this is really something to see play out live on our screen, Ed, there in Philadelphia.
It is remarkable to say the least. You can see one of these violent protesters has some sort of a cutting device where he's using it to rip open parts of the vehicle. Now this police van is being ripped apart. The one violent protester has a police hat on, just mocking the police, going into the car, taking some of their equipment, some of their uniforms. And I did want to speculate a couple of moments ago because I didn't know exactly what was being poured on that one police vehicle in the back. But now we can say with certainty that it was some sort of a lighter fluid because, as you noted, flames started coming up. Mm-hmm. It's not on one of those vehicles, obviously, but in the back of this group. And you can see the one that you mentioned a moment ago. The second one there was smashed in. It was taken over by one of these violent protesters. It's remarkable because, Sandra, you're not seeing really police officers near there.